of all, I want to tell you a little story. And my story is about cat litter. And this is the fact that God used cat litter to save my life. Just that alone blows my mind. So imagine, I mean, I didn't get the prophetic word ahead of time, but if he'd given that to me before, like, hey, I'm going to use cat litter and it's going to save your life. I mean, it's just, that's totally out of the box. Out of the cat box, right? It's totally out of the cat box. So my story is I was working as a mortgage banker for 16 years and was doing really, really well. Had built my client base, had my own net branch, was working for one of the top mortgage companies in the entire country. The guy I worked for was mentoring people all over the country. He was my personal mentor. And I just thought I had it made. I mean, I had a house on the coast in Oregon. I was working a 4-day work week. I was being invited to go present on time management. And it was awesome. And then 2007, 2008, things started to get a little bit shaky. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. And all of a sudden I realized I built my whole, and I used to tell people, because I spoke at churches, I'd say, I got this stuff, but my identity's not wrapped up in it. Yeah, come on. I got the house on the beach, and then all of a sudden stuff started to get shaken, and I realized that I had invested a lot of my identity into this stuff, because suddenly I had to start making some hard choices, like, oh, I got to sell the beach house, and I had to start selling things on Craigslist. All my income was wrapped up in the mortgage business. All of my investment was wrapped up in real estate, and I wasn't a crazy investor. But, I only had like 30-40% equity in some of these homes, and most of that in California got eaten up pretty quick. My income dried up overnight, and suddenly I was being shaken really, really hard, right? So, did a good job of just obeying God, had some amazing miracles happen during that time. Had coffee one morning with a guy, and he just said, I just want to give you $5,000.
Come on.
Just
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And got to the point where it was like every single day was like, not sure how we're going to pay the groceries. My daughter, who's sitting right back there, Isabella, got sick during that time with a life-threatening disease. I watched God just do a miracle in her life. There was just so much that God used during that time. And I felt released from the mortgage business, and I went to working for a company that crushes walnut shells.
Woo! Promotion.
So and I remember driving to the interview, and I was looking at like walnut trees and thinking, okay, I'm trying to wrap my mind around, do I really want to do this? I felt like I was supposed to stay in this area, but all the job opportunities that paid any income, I was going to go to financial planning. They were all down in San Francisco. Nothing was opening up here. And then I drive to this place, and God says, I'm going to provide for your family from the earth. And I'm looking at the trees, and I'm going, okay. And I go, and they say, yeah, we want you to sell walnut shells, and we want to offer you a position with a salary that's about 1/4 of what you're used to making. Yeah?
Awesome.
Awesome. And by the way, the commissions, it takes about a year sales cycle, so you really won't see any commissions for about 12 months or so. So, I mean, what they were going to pay me was going to be just enough to pay for the groceries and for us to live like super, super modestly, right? I mean, literally. And I just thought, okay, God, but I remember God saying, I'm here. So I'm there for 3 months, and they put me in a trailer outside this like big facility where they crush walnuts. It's dark and it's dingy, and the desk is old, and everything's just ugh. And I'm there for 3 months, and I'm praying. I've gotten in the habit of praying because of all the things. So I was praying with guys early in the morning. And one morning I'm praying, and God, I don't know how to describe it. Have you ever had that time where you just feel like you're overcome by God's presence, and He speaks a word, and it just gets inside of you, and you just can't let go of it? It was like that, but like 100 times, any times I've ever experienced. And He told me, He said, I'm about to do something at your workplace that no man will be able to take credit for. It's going to completely change the place. And He kept saying that no man will be able to take credit for this. And I left the prayer meeting. It was like a 5 a.m. prayer meeting. I picked up a cup of coffee. I'm driving to work. And I can hardly wait to get to work and tell my boss this great news. I mean, this amazing news. So my boss, who I don't know very well, looks like, your name's John, right? Yeah. So he kind of dresses like John, kind of, got the cowboy hat. Buckle. And he's a real John Wayne stoic kind of guy, right? I mean, just perfect guy to come in charismatically and just start prophesying, right? I think he believes in God, but as far as a relationship with Jesus, I think, and then some guy coming in that's just been hired, a junior sales guy. So I walk into his office, and he says, hey, how's it going this morning? I think he's just waiting for me to say pretty good. I go, oh man, you won't believe this. God is about to, and it just comes out of my mouth, God is about to change this place. He's about to turn this place upside down, and no man will be able to take credit for it. And he goes, wow. I said, what are your dreams? Like, just tell me, what are your dreams? I mean, this is how this is how I am. And he's like, don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe I'll send you an email. and literally, I remember the feeling like it started, like reality started to creep in. Like, because you get in that space where it's like you come out of worship here on Sunday, and then you start to have dinner with your kids, and you're thinking Monday, and it's weird. Like, how do you go from hearing from God, having Him speak to your heart, to now go and be at work? It's a weird transition. So. And I do believe in honoring people, and I do believe in the right word at the right time. And actually, this was the right word at the right time, but it really popped me out of my bubble, right? So I walk out of his office, and I walk to the trailer. And as I'm walking to the trailer, it's just hitting me like, oh, God, what have I done? I've only been here 3 months. I already make no money at all. These guys, now I've got a reputation as the kooky guy at work, And I'm just thinking, and I just remember my day, like the next 2 or 3 days it was just weird, Like all of a sudden, I honestly went from that high place to like that really like, God, I'm a weird person at my work, And so, this was in July. So 3 days later, there's a shelter here in town, Haven Humane Society, and this guy named Dr. Ray John called me. He's an ex-Marine drill sergeant that's taken a former Marine, yeah. And he's taken over the place, and Dr. Ray John calls me up, and he used to be a principal for a Catholic high school. He's a no-nonsense guy, and he just calls me up, he goes, David Charleston, yeah? Hey, listen, we've discovered that one of your products works as cat litter. We got a room here, no cats, there's no smell. You need to come up here as soon as you can. You're going to want to buy me lunch. And I went, okay, and I took his info and hung up, and I talked to the senior sales guy. I said, hey, I don't know what to do with this. Like, this guy actually wants me to go up to his facility. Most people we did business with, it was all over the country, and so I wasn't sure how personal visits worked. And I go, and this guy wants me to buy him lunch. And I didn't have an expense account, so I didn't know. And he goes, I don't know, it sounds really kooky to me, but, what the heck, it's just a quick drive and a lunch, go ahead. So I drive up there, and I walk in, and this guy... I just walk in and he says, look, and he hands me a cat litter box. He takes me into a room that has 80 cats, and his employees who have litter boxes, who have been awaiting my arrival, come and they shove a litter box into my face, and I smell it, and there's no smell. And I said, what is this? I said, this is your product. We've never ever experienced anything like this. We've got a room with 80 cats. This is incredible. This is going to change your lives. And these people are super excited. I'm not really getting it. Because I've never been excited about cat litter before, right? I had no idea this was the thing that God had spoken about that morning. I had no idea. But as I left that place and I drove back, there was life on it. I was like, oh, God, I wonder what cat litter costs. I wonder what people pay for it. I know what our cost of goods are to manufacture. I wonder, and I could not let it go. It was like all that deflation now was filling me back up again. And God was breathing on it. I'm a slow learner, so I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I go back, and I literally come back to the office, and I cannot stop thinking about this. And I spend the whole afternoon writing a one-page business plan. And when I'm done writing the business plan, I realize that, and I've never done this before, by the way. I've never sold cat litter. I've never built a brand. So I don't have any idea, but it's rough numbers. I'm a math guy. And I look at it, I'm like, it looks to me like we could increase our profits 7 times more than any other product on the market. And so the next morning I had the courage. I walked in my boss's office, hand him the thing. I go, hey, check this out. He goes, well, what is this? I go, well, I visited this guy yesterday. He says that we might be able to make cat litter out of this. And I told him the story, and he goes, all right, I'll take a look at it. And I think it was either the next day or the day after. He says, come into my office. He goes, do you think you could do this? Is this real? I said, yeah. He goes, this is like 7 times more than we've ever made on any other product. I go, I know. And he's like, he goes, just drop everything you're doing, focus on this. And so that was in July. By September, he gave me all the freedom I wanted in the world. He's like, just run with it. Like, because anybody that's in business, their love language is the bottom line. It's results, right? So I'm speaking his love language now. He doesn't care if I'm a kook anymore. Right? All he knows, I'm a kook, but I'm on to something. I'm a kook that's on to something. And what I'm on to is that God spoke.
Come on.
That's it. That's all I'm on to. God spoke this word. So that's July. By September, we'd had several meetings. He brought a few people in, but every time it was like my ideas would rise to the top. And so we're getting this place where this identity of this, we're starting to get serious about it. But no one can come up with a name. And the names that people are coming up with, they do the searches, the trademark searches, and it's not working. And I drive to work one morning, and God says, name it Pur and Simple. Right? Pur and Simple. And so I come to work with the name, and everybody goes, yeah! And then they do the research, and of course it's all wide open. And so we end up naming this cat litter Pur and Simple. That was like maybe August. By July, we're sitting in Las Vegas at the biggest national trade show presenting this product. And we're the latecomers. So if you've ever done a trade show, we're like tucked in the back corner. I've got 0 connections in the pet industry. 0. We're tucked in the back corner, right? And nobody notices us. But one guy from Chicago comes by, and we developed this device where you can test it and measure the odor. It's a little gas detection pump. Turns out that Clorox and Purina and Arm & Hammer, which are the big players, none of them have ever done anything like this. We figured, oh, I'm sure they've done this. This is revolutionary what we're doing. We're actually scientifically measuring odor. And so we do it. It catches the attention of this guy in Chicago. He says, look, I'm the biggest player in Chicago. You come to Chicago, I'll introduce you to every single friend I have, because he sees value in it, and he wants to be the guy that says, I discovered it, and he wants to offer it as value to all of his friends. So I go to Chicago. We didn't do any sales at all in Las Vegas, 0, right? So here we are. We've already spent probably, I don't know, 100, 150 grand, 0 sales. It's not looking good for me. We're in Chicago, and sure enough, this guy honors his word, and he introduces me to everybody. There's these 2 guys from Canada that come to my booth, and they look at it and they go, yeah, it looks pretty good. And turns out, I didn't know it, but these guys were the biggest distributor in Canada. And the only reason they came to the trade show is that one of their other cat litter suppliers had skipped out on them. And they were doing $1 million a year in sales in cat litter. They were looking for their mixed replacement. So what I don't know is that night I have dinner with another guy, and he's best friends with them, and they haven't talked. And he said, so what's your deal? Like cat litter, and I met these guys, Brian and Alvin. He goes, oh, Brian and Alvin from Canada? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, what are you doing? I go, cat litter. He goes, did you know they're here to buy $1 million at the cat litter? I said, no. He goes, tomorrow. You're a good guy. And so he seals the deal for us. And in addition to that, so at that show, we ended up with national distribution in Canada. In one show, we ended up with probably 10 distributors. I mean, it's just insane. And so, long story short is, that's the testimony of cat litter. And what I mean by it saved my life is that actually God spoke it into existence, and then I just hung on for dear life. Does that make sense? Because I mean, literally, and so that's what I felt the whole time. Every time I get nervous, God would say, I spoke this. I'm the one.